Welcome to Waywut, your weekly verbal double take. This is a rabbit hole podcast where a couple of old guys do moderate to shallow dives into various topics, ranging from true crime, paranormal, sports, pop culture, or anything else that we find interesting. We drop episodes every Tuesday, and then on Fridays if we feel like it. You can follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, and Instagram. We appreciate you joining us. Now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here we go. Hello, and welcome again to another episode of Waywut. My name is Darrell, and I will be the lead narrator, talker, whatever. And here I am with the guy that hid evidence and altered the murder scene of a baby possum to make it look like it committed suicide by jumping into his dog's mouth. Jason.
No, there's no way the amount of damage that possum had on it that he committed suicide.
That's what you told everybody, so I'm just saying.
Oh, well, how I dispose of the body is another story.
All right, well, I'm going to start today off with a cover-up rant. We got a bunch of JFK files a while back, and like most people, I immediately began waiting for someone else to read them all and talk about what was in them. There wasn't any big bombshells. Whenever it came out, I clicked on just a few random pages because there were thousands of them, and I never once found anything that said we did it with a bunch of CIA agents' signatures at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a bunch of nothing. Then everyone was waiting for the Epstein list, the documents and any videos and stuff like that. And the people in charge that said they were going to let it loose were like, oh, yeah, never mind. There wasn't anything. Turns out there was nothing. Which tells me whatever documents were out there have been shredded and burned.
Mm-hmm.
They're gone. Because, it's one of those things. I don't believe them on that.
Hell no.
The reason I'm bringing this up now is one of the cases that I researched for this episode kind of it hit me the wrong way. When I was researching it, I couldn't find an autopsy report. I found like 2 articles, no police report, nothing. Any of the documents I normally am able to dig up on stuff like this, none of it. I mean, you would think it would at least have 2 out of 3 of those. But
yeah,
nope. I'll get more into that later since I will be talking about it. But it did get me thinking about how we, as in normal people, have no one out there that we can count on to uncover the cover-ups.
True.
You can hope for a whistleblower, but the last 2 high-profile ones I can think of were the 2 Boeing whistleblowers. One of those died from a sudden illness, and the other one, it was a self-induced death, if you get my drift, and they happened within 2 months of each other. Just completely coincidental, I'm sure.
No, nothing fishy about that at all.
No. In the long ago past, we could rely on journalists to investigate and uncover corruption.
Mm-hmm.
But that really isn't the case anymore.
Mm-mm.
I mean, the fact that ratings have been plummeting for news organizations is pretty evident of how much faith people have in them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't even get me
3-letter ones.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on the slow, agonizing death of newspapers. They're going down.
Oh, God, yes. They start charging you for their online stuff. That's when
it's... Oh, yeah. Drives me insane. Every time it's like, ooh, this is a good article. Oh, no. I can't read that article. Because I'm not going to pay New York Times $1. Pretty much anywhere you try to get news from, they have to be profitable for their stockholders. And they're beholden to their advertisers who, are the companies that have lots of politicians in their pocket. So whatever is reported has to align with those advertisers and those politicians.
Yep.
So what does that leave us? The government? Pardon me, but I'm not going to trust the entity that is doing most of the cover-ups to expose said cover-ups. For every cover-up they eventually admit to, it's likely that they're doing so to distract from something worse that they're hiding.
Yep. The old magic trick.
Yeah, it's like, look over here, look over here. It's like, Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy. You know. The best people can do is what people are doing with the first case that I'm going to be talking about here in a bit. Like I said, there's almost no articles on it, but regular people on social media are not letting this die. And hopefully someday there'll be a politician or a journalist that will want to capitalize and use the virality of that story on social media and bring whatever resources they have to uncover what's being hidden.
All right.
Well, anyone that has consistently listened to us may remember our episode called Coroner For Sale.
Good one. Good one.
Yeah, you should go back and listen to that one after you listen to this one, or watch if you're on YouTube.
In order, preferably. You can just go from there and go forward from there.
You can still enjoy this one without, There are some instances where people have died in very murdery circumstances, and the coroners, medical examiners, and cops will call it a sewer slide and walk away. Well, I've got a couple more cases just like that, but this time I'm focusing on two cases where the victims were law enforcement officers.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ciara Ann Estrada was born in Long Island, New York in 1992. Her family moved to Marietta, California when she was 12. In high school, she was in ROTC, and she went on to get her bachelor's degree in criminal justice at San Diego State University. She graduated cum laude and made the dean list all 4 years.
All right.
Yeah. Once she graduated, she went to the police academy, got done with the police academy in 2015, and joined up with the San Diego Police Department. On December 14th, 2022, Officer Estrada, along with two other policemen from SDPD, responded to a call about a man holding a gun to his own head in the Terralta West neighborhood. When they arrived, they found 32-year-old Hispanic man named Daniel Ramirez, who had a history of mental illness. He was armed with a 9mm pistol and a large knife. He refused to drop either of them. I would like to take a moment here to say, any of you assholes out there that get upset when the cops kill an armed individual, please shut the fuck up.
Absolutely. You have no idea what it takes to be a cop and their lives being at risk every day.
Yeah, well, and I get that there are times that you can question things and times when bad cops do illegal shit.
Yeah.
But I don't care if you are a cop or a librarian or a burger flipper at McDonald's. If some weirdo is walking around with a gun and he is not going to put it down, then the fuckhead deserves to get shot by any of those people.
Yep, especially if they've been told repeatedly, drop the gun.
Yeah. Of course, that's what happened here. He pointed the gun at the cops, and they lit his ass up.
Yeah, they should.
Ramirez hit the ground, but then all of his nutcase strength kicked in, and he got back up, still holding his knife.
Damn.
They lit him up again. He still wasn't dead, but he wasn't dangerous anymore. So they began rendering first aid on him while the paramedics were on their way. They came and got him, but he later died since he had more lead in him than a baby's chew toy from the 1950s. The event was captured on body cams and security footage, and the San Diego Police Department released all of it with a statement explaining why the cops did what they did and the evidence they found at the scene. The evidence was one round fired from that guy's gun and a suicide note in his pocket saying he was going for self-elimination by cop. Which, people, stop doing that. It's bad enough that you are choosing to end yourself, but stop traumatizing strangers by making them kill you. It's chicken shit.
It is chicken shit.
Well, you know what happens next. All the Monday morning quarterbacks out there whose only exposure to life and death situations is when they don't chew their food enough start crying out about excessive force and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
The event and the reaction to it was very jarring for Officer Estrada. As typical for a situation like that, the SDPD says that she was placed on administrative leave and offered counseling. Her friends and family say that it wasn't quite like that and that she was receiving pressure from the department to hurry up and get back to work. On December 31st, 2017, Ciara Estrada was found dead in her apartment with a gunshot wound to her head. According to one of only 2 articles that I could find on this, the SDPD quickly called it a suicide, saying they found a suicide note, she had a gun, and she had signs of depression. The thing that immediately raises a red flag is the fact that the SDPD did that brief investigation on their own. It is usually the recommended protocol for an officer killed outside of the line of duty is that the agency that person worked for, if it happens in their jurisdiction, to bring in an outside agency like the sheriff's department or the state police.
Yeah. Everybody will be
They're
affected.
not required to, but it's really suggested that's the best route. They did neither. So the conflict of interest, boom, it's right there. She was their employee, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, she totally offed herself. And this is where the controversy kicks in, because it isn't like the last 2 that I went over, in Coroner For Sale Part 1, where the physical evidence and the testimonies don't add up. This is just straight up weird behavior of an organization that seems to be hiding something. There are literally 2 articles. That's it. And then everything else is what people are putting on social media trying to get attention on it. It's apparent that if the media and the SDPD had their way, no one would know about this at all. They didn't count on the fact that even before Ciara died, she was already well liked by people on social media. She had a somewhat viral video that someone recorded her. It was a homeless guy, and she was called out there, and she went to go check, and the homeless guy started recording this because, of course, he wanted to get evidence of the cop being like a turd to him, know. And she went to check if he was bothering people. The video went viral because she was not antagonistic. She was kind. She was understanding, and she listened to him. And the man was just absolutely grateful for the treatment that she gave him. And the entire internet agreed with her, with both of them, that she was awesome. And while you'll not find anything but the 2 articles about her death, you will find numerous posts of that video asking about what really happened to her.
Okay, that was a question I was about to ask you. You said the 2 articles are only 2 articles based on her death and not 2 articles based on the initial shooting?
No, just 2 articles on her death. That's it.
Okay.
Now, it's because of Officer Estrada's family and the people on social media posting that old video that we do have some additional information. That night, she went to a New Year's Eve party with her boyfriend, who happened to be a fellow SDPD officer. It has been reported that the couple had a verbal altercation at that party. When her body was discovered, it was found in the bathroom with as they described it, a bullet wound between her eyes. That's not very typical for a self-inflicted wound. I don't know about you, but I don't want to look at it, here, or something like that. I don't want to hey, that's, I don't think there's very many people that would do that.
No, or nobody.
I'm not going to say no one would do it, but there's very few people that would do it.
It just make awkward for the gun holding too.
Yeah, I mean, because it's easy to do it with your hand, but when you have an actual gun, it's
Uh-huh.
yeah. Uh, Her family and friends also claim that she showed zero signs of depression or suicidal ideation. Now, does any of this clearly mean that she was murdered? No. But what it does indicate is that there were questions that should have been asked and answered that the San Diego Police Department did not allow to happen. If you find someone trying to sweep a broken vase under the rug, does that necessarily mean that they're the ones that broke it? No, but it's a damn good indicator.
Yeah.
Now, as it stands, you have social media not letting this go, and Officer Estrada's family are trying to get the whole story by using a legal team and a private investigator. And here's what they've said that they've uncovered so far. The police told the family it was suicide before a coroner or medical examiner even arrived at the scene.
Okay. That's not good.
No. The medical examiner told the family that they could not rule out homicide, but then did not put that on the death certificate. Just put, sewer slide. That's why this one definitely fits in this series. After they got into her phone and computer, they claimed to find messages indicating that her relationship had recently become emotionally abusive. I appreciate police very much, but if either of my daughters ever wanted to date a cop, then I would do everything that I could. I would try very hard to get them to change their mind. Those relationships tend to get abusive, and I know that isn't every cop, but statistically, it's not very good. They tend to have a bit more instances of domestic abuse, and I'm just not down with that. Finally, there was the media at the scene. So media actually showed up to this whenever she killed her. Well, fuck it, killed herself. But the SDPD urged the family to not talk to them. They're like, no, don't talk to them. And the SDPD got what they wanted because there was obviously no media coverage. So I mean, it's kind of weird. I get why they would tell them, hey, don't do that. We're going to be investigating this, but they didn't really investigate it. Instead, they was just like, hey, will you help us hide this? Her family has set up a GoFundMe to try and pay for legal costs and investigative costs. They've only hit about 10% of their goal. Really, the only hope here is someone with some authority listening to the stink that social media is making and that they try to fight for it with their resources. Otherwise, it seems like this will probably be a successful cover up.
Well, do you want to mention the social media?
I don't know the GoFundMe thing, and I
Oh,
don't like. I will send somebody to a charity that is started by a little girl that died. Yeah, but GoFundMe's, if you really want to look,
yeah.
go do it yourself. I'm always a little iffy on that stuff unless it's like, well, heck, even nowadays, like whenever it's about video games and movies and stuff, a lot of people sink money in that and with the promise of these rewards or whatever, and they don't get them. So I'm kind of like, I've only done. I think I've given to like 2 ever, and sadly, that's where this story about Ciara Ann Estrada stops.
Well, I have
There,
a question on that.
join the club. But all right,
Well, you said at the beginning they got in a massive shootout and they
yeah,
shot this person several times.
yeah,
Not just her though; there was other cops.
yeah.
So why were they trying to blame the trauma on that guy's death on her? Why was they thinking she was the most traumatized out of all the other cops?
I mean, I don't think they really thought that, Jason. There aren't
Yeah,
so like the leave thing. That's normal.
yeah,
Uh, them saying that she was depressed and stuff like that. That's kind of the cover uppy part about all this. I mean, most suspect that the only reason this SDPD would try to cover this up is if her boyfriend, who was also a cop, did that. If you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. They're trying to protect their own, but they're
Exactly.
also hurting one of their own by blaming
Do you?
her to do that.
I
Like,
mean,
what's
she's already
worse?
gone. What were they going to do for her?
I know. I mean, what's worse?
I mean, the thing is they might like him more than they liked her. Probably, being that they covering stuff up.
Yeah. Damn.
I mean, you can't. You're not good at thinking evil. Just
Oh, I can think evil.
I don't know. All right, now time for the second case. On April 19th, 1995, a truck filled with ammonium nitrate, diesel fuel, explosives, and fertilizer was parked in front of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, where it was detonated.
I remember that.
Yeah, we were in
Ninth grade,
high
right?
school. Yeah, we were in high school, and I remember them having one of those TVs on wheels that they wheeled
Yeah.
into the cafeteria.
Yep. I remember that.
The building was destroyed, along with killing 168 people and injuring 684. The Oklahoma City Police Department quickly dispatched officers for rescue efforts right after the explosion. One of the first to arrive at the scene was Sergeant Terrance Yeakey, where it is said that he saved the lives of at least 4 people. Terry Yeakey had been an officer with the OCPD for 6 years at the time of the bombing. The 29-year-old officer pulled as many people out of the rubble as he could until he injured his back when he fell down carrying a victim. His ex-wife, Tanya, received a call the day after the bombing saying Terry needed to be picked up from the hospital. Tanya says when she got to the hospital, Terry got into the car and began crying. She says he told her, "It's not what they're saying it is. They're not telling the truth. They're lying about what's going on down there." Many people believe that Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols were not the only terrorists responsible for that bomb plot. Terry Yeakey's allegations are what fuel a lot of those theories. Terry, according to some friends and family, was conducting his own investigation on what happened that day in Oklahoma City. He felt that the investigation was a sham because some undisclosed thing that he saw under the daycare center that was in the federal building. He was also surprised and confused that a group of federal agents arrived at the scene of the bombing just minutes after it happened, and they were all dressed in riot gear. Now, this is strange because, first, I doubt Oklahoma has a team of federal agents geared up and ready to arrive anywhere in just minutes.
True.
Also, when have you ever seen law enforcement geared up at, like a SWAT team to try and rescue people out of rubble?
Never.
It's not practical. All right. It is said that based on the damage he saw, he believed that some of the explosions originated from inside the building. That is a pretty common conspiracy theory nowadays, that the government set charges in the building for maximum destruction. I don't know if I buy into it, but then again, I don't trust the government, so I think they totally would.
But what's the end game of that one?
Well, at the time, if you remember, the ATF and federal law enforcement had like the worst reputation in the entire world
Because of
because
Waco?
not Waco and Ruby Ridge. I mean, both of those was the ATF just fucking murdering people. So
So this
after,
was their way of saving face or making themselves look better?
making them be heroes.
Okay. Okay.
After the attack, Terry wrote a 9-page long incident report for the OCPD, because when you're a cop, that's what you do. You write reports. detailing what he experienced and saw. His ex-wife Tanya told a story that one day he came over and told her his report just disappeared. Furthermore, his bosses told him to write a new report, and this time keep it to 1 page. Yeah. That also is not unheard of because of another Oklahoma City cop named Steve Vassar claims to have seen McVeigh driving that Ryder truck to the federal building and says that he saw someone in the truck with him. He documented his report for the day of the bombing, and that report also vanished, according to him. So, just saying. The only other thing we know for sure that Terry believed was that an ATF agent was involved in the bombing. In a letter to a friend that was in that building when it was bombed, he told her that he had found out that an ATF agent was overseeing the bomb plot. In that same letter, he claimed to have opened up to the police chaplain about what he believed, and he was looking for guidance. He said that the police chaplain responded by submitting a report saying he should be removed from duty.
Oh,
yeah.
What an ass.
Now, all this that I'm telling you has been scrutinized very closely because Terry Yeakey was found dead in a field in El Reno, Oklahoma on May 8th, 1996, which was 3 days before he was scheduled to receive a Medal of Valor for rescuing people from the bombing.
Another weird coincidence.
Yeah. Canadian County Deputy Mike Ramsey was patrolling around El Reno when he noticed an abandoned vehicle in a field. He approached it, and then he recognized it as Terry's car. They knew each other well enough, where apparently the deputy had driven Terry home at some point where they'd have conversations and stuff like that. He approached the car and saw blood on both front seats, so driver's side and passenger side, a razor blade on the dashboard, and nobody in the car. Deputy Ramsey immediately radioed in to get a homicide detective because a lot of fucking blood was there, and he taped off the scene. Hours later, police dogs found Terry's body in a ditch about 1.5 miles away from his car. The Oklahoma City Police Department took over the investigation of the suspicious death of their employee. Another conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But this one's a little worse because this happened 40 miles outside of Oklahoma City city limits. But they claim it's not uncommon. We're a larger department, so we help the smaller cities all the time. Resources say they did not use their big city resources because they quickly ruled it a suicide. Terry was found with multiple cuts to his wrist, the crook of his elbow, his neck, and his throat. According to his ex-wife, they say he lost about 2 pints of blood.
Gee, Winnie.
If we go by the evidence, the cuts happened either in or near the car because the razor was there when they found him, and all that blood was in the car.
Where was it found in the car? You said on the dash?
No, the razor was on the dash. The blood was all over the seats.
That's what I meant. The razor was on the dash. Okay.
Yeah. So, cut up in the car. Then he either walked or crawled, according to the OKCPD, on uneven terrain, either over or under a barbed wire fence, across one very deep ditch, then into another ditch over the course of 1.5 miles.
Nope.
Then once he got there, after that 1.5 miles, he put a gun to the side of his head, but at a downward angle, and shot himself.
Not a chance in hell. You're running from something to only go through all of that.
It gets better. We don't know what kind of gun was shot because there's no report of a gun found at the scene. Last time I checked, guns do not flee the scene of self-inflicted wounds. They're generally right there where it happens. That's how a lot of times they know that it's self-inflicted, because the gun's right there.
It's in their hand still. Yeah.
The Oklahoma City Police Department did not order an autopsy nor a drug test. There was also no test for gunshot residue on his hands.
Well, never mind the fact if you're going to do the deed and use a razor blade, you're not going to cut yourself 15 times over random parts of your body
And then go for a walk.
and then go for a walk. You're going to sit there and do it and just do it once, like you said, across the wrist or, on the neck. You're not going to
Yep.
just slice yourself up and go for a casual stroll over barbed wire and rocky terrain.
Well, ditchy terrain.
Ditchy terrain.
Well, after that, the Oklahoma City Police Department went on a smear campaign. They have said that Terry was depressed because he got hurt while rescuing people from the destroyed building, and it kept him from saving more people. They have gone into great detail about his divorce from his wife and the protective order she filed when they were divorcing. In the years after their divorce, they improved their relationship, and he had actually approached her about them getting married again. She didn't say yes, but she also didn't say no.
How shitty of that to bring that up. What that has
Yeah.
anything to do with it?
Terry's
By the way,
family.
he got a divorce and he was a bad one.
Oh, you're going to like what the one coming up. Terry's family has been fighting to get more information because they don't believe that he killed himself. Requests for Terry's camera and camcorder have constantly been denied. The Oklahoma City Police Department claims that he has pornography on there starring himself, and they are sparing them from that. It's like, okay. Requests for their investigation documents have also been ignored. All Freedom of Information Acts have been denied. They have given various justifications on why they won't provide documents on a closed investigation. Closed. But one that stands out is that it would cause undue embarrassment to the department. They really suck at cover-ups. They have no nuance. It's just brute force. I'm not telling you the truth because I don't have to.
Yep.
I mean, I understand whenever a police department will not, respond to an information request positively because it's an open and ongoing investigation.
Yeah.
That makes sense. If it's closed, that should be public by then.
Yeah. What if it's closed? That means there's no new stuff coming. It's not an open investigation.
Yep.
And all the documents should be finalized, if you will, and
They're
verified.
just like, oh, God, if we do that, we're going to have to write up all these fake reports, and I don't feel like it. His ex-wife, mother, and sisters have all claimed to have been pressured by the OKCPD to drop it, to stop, to just quit. And apparently Terry knew it was coming, and he told his family that he was being followed and being pressed to stop digging into the bombing. One of the reasons he wanted to remarry his ex-wife was so that he could put life insurance in her name to take care of her and their daughters. Which she likes to point out that he wouldn't go through so much trouble to get life insurance and then off himself where the insurance wouldn't pay off.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. However, none of this has ever sparked any kind of official investigation, which makes sense considering that in the event he was murdered, it was likely the officials that did it.
Well, has she not come forward, the ex-wife, saying what was told to her by?
I mean, he wouldn't. He was terrified. He didn't. There wasn't a lot he would share with them on the details. The day he died, he went to his sister's house saying, I'm being followed and all this, and he was scared, and he didn't want to give them information because hell, they were already coming after him.
Okay, I get that.
Unless he was crazy, but all of this is kind of like the Epstein thing, where everyone knows that something is wrong, but the people in charge can just choose to ignore it while everyone else just sits there pointing, saying, that ain't right. So, like the Epstein list, it will be ignored while they hope that everyone forgets about it. It's been nearly 30 years and nobody's forgotten about it. And I hope that everybody's able to keep this thing alive. Even if seemingly nobody can do anything, we can annoy them. We can piss them off and not let their plan to sweep it under the rug be completely successful. We'll just keep pointing at the rug saying, look, it's under there.
Man.
Yeah. And that's going to do it for this. These are, people that use their power to protect themselves and their buddies. And unfortunately, that's not uncommon. So if you would like a third one in this series, I'm probably going to do it either way, but I'd still like you to ask for it just because it'd make me feel better. Plus, comments are engagement, and engagement is good for algorithm stuff.
He likes it when you ask for it.
Yeah. So if you want more of this depressing content, let us know in the comments. I'll take depressing comments too. I'll take them all. If there's a case that fits this theme and you want it covered, tell me about it. I'll research it and I will cover it. Same as this. So,
man, well, those are pretty frustrating. Like you said, the people that are in charge are just going to stay in charge, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it.
Well, what's funny is like last time I had like tons and tons of information. I had like police reports to look at and autopsy reports and stuff like that. This one, I had to go forward with these with like it just where they have these hard endings like that because it's just like they're like, yeah, we're covering up. Do something about it. Oh, you can't? Fuck off.
Yeah, because you can find pretty much anything on the internet with lots and lots of pages to go through.
Yeah. All right. Well, join us next time when Jason, unless he gets too close to the truth behind the post office's plot to keep his free play offers from casinos away from him and they have to disappear him. If he survives and he's still around, he'll tell us about some stuff that will make us say, Waywut. Jason, you have to stop digging.
No. We put in more complaints on the milk lady.
I'm going to find you out in the field with letters shoved down your throat or something.
Stamp stuck all over my face.
Yeah. They have like they'll wrap you up in like that, like the wrapping that packing tape where you suffocate and they'll just cover you in stamps.
Past due, undeliverable. Send back to sender.
It'll in the address spot, it'll say to hell.
I had a neighbor come over today to give me all my mail that they received.
Oh, that was nice of them.
Yeah, it was very nice of them.
I don't have issues with the mail. It seems like delivery drivers can't read because the numbers on our houses aren't small, but I always get my neighbors' packages and their Instacart. And it's kind of crazy because I'll like go over to their house holding like 3 or 4 bags of groceries and I'll put it on their doorstep. Like, Instacart's here. Tip. Whatever.
Man. Well, good. Okay. Good topic, Darrell.
Yeah, glad you liked it. All right. Well, see y'all next time. Bye.
Later.
Click the button, Darrell. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Waywut. This show's available on YouTube, GoodPods, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. We'd love to hear from you. Please comment on what you just listened to, pass along episode ideas, or just talk to us at Waywut Podcast in our Facebook group or on TikTok, Instagram, or X. Again, we really appreciate you joining us. Come back again to hear about some stuff that will make you say, Waywut.